Welcome to How to Boost Your Brain plant-based cooking class. My name is Leah and I have a Certificate 4 in Community Health Education programs, as do Liz and Amy, our other cooking demonstrators today. I'm also a personal trainer and very passionate about mental health. We are so thrilled that you have joined us here today to learn to hopefully better your health and your brain. We were meant to join you live for this cooking class, which we were really excited about, but our region that we are living in just went into lockdown on Thursday at 5 p.m. So we had to quickly reorganize and pre-film so that we could still go ahead with this program. I'm also 5 months pregnant, so if I look like my tummy is sticking out a little bit, that is why. Now, I don't need to tell you that we are living in a world that is increasing in depression and panic and anxiety and stress, especially in the current climate of isolation, lockdown, financial hardship due to loss of work. We want to bring you some practical information that will help, hopefully, for you to take charge of your mental health. Now, before we get to the cooking part, which I know you're all wanting to do, I firstly just want to talk a little bit about the brain. I'm going to touch on 3 things, so hopefully you can remember them: serotonin, tryptophan, and omega-3 fats. What were those 3 things that I just said? Serotonin, tryptophan, and omega-3 fats. You may have heard of serotonin before. Serotonin is an important neurotransmitter in the brain, particularly in the frontal lobe, which is a vital portion of the brain for good judgment and making decisions. Serotonin needs to be present for you to sleep at night. If there is no serotonin, melatonin, the sleep hormone, cannot be produced. Serotonin stabilizes your mood, increases your sense of well-being and happiness. It also helps with eating and digestion. Low serotonin levels in the brain is a major contributing factor to depression. So, if you don't want to go on a roller coaster ride with your emotions and want to be happy, plus have a good night's sleep, you need serotonin. How do you make serotonin? Serotonin is not found in any food or in any food supplement. It can only be manufactured within the body. The body needs certain raw materials to make serotonin. One of these is an amino acid called tryptophan. The brain can make no serotonin unless tryptophan is first present. Okay, so the next question, how do I get tryptophan into my brain? We get tryptophan from the food that we eat. Tryptophan is found in meat, dairy, and plant foods. However, today we will be showing you plant-based sources of tryptophan for a very important reason. Now let me tell you why. Because getting enough tryptophan is not the only nutritional factor in serotonin production. There are 5 large amino acids or proteins which compete against tryptophan traveling into the brain. A food that contains a large total amount of these 5 amino acids will reduce the flow of tryptophan to the brain. So follow me here. If my diet is moderate in tryptophan, but high in these 5 amino acids that compete, then you can still have a tryptophan deficiency in the brain. If you Google foods high in tryptophan, it will come up with milk, beef, chicken, salmon. However, these meats have a high ratio of the 5 amino acids that compete against tryptophan. Tofu, followed by flax seeds, have high amounts of tryptophan without the high levels of the 5 amino acids which compete against the tryptophan getting into the brain, so that you can make serotonin. Okay, I've talked about serotonin and the importance of tryptophan. Now, I'll briefly touch on omega-3 fats. Omega-3 fats are emerging as an important nutritional element in brain science. Omega-3 and omega-6 are absolutely essential in our diet. Omega-6 fats are abundant in many foods, and so it's extremely rare to see mental or physical problems because of low omega-6 in our diet. But omega-3 fats are not so abundant. The lower omega-3 fat to omega-6 ratio, the higher the rate of depression. Let me just say that again. The lower the omega-3 fat to omega-6 ratio, the higher the depression. Research has shown that bipolar, in addition to major depression, can be helped by a diet high in omega-3. Most people increase their omega-3 by eating fish. You've probably heard of that, fish oil tablets. Most fish, however, are not good sources of omega-3 fats. However, cold water ocean fish are good sources, not because their bodies manufacture omega-3, but because these fish eat a lot of cold saltwater seaweed, which is very high in omega-3 fats. Omega-3 fats as original source comes from plants. So when we obtain omega-3s from fish, we are actually getting the nutrients secondhand. The highest source of omega-3 fats from plant-based sources is actually flaxseed oil, followed by walnuts, and then ground flaxseed. Now, you've all been waiting. Let's get to the fun part. Let's start cooking. So today, we are going to be sharing with you 3 recipes that will help boost your brain. Now, let me just point out, nutrition is not the only factor that should be looked at when boosting your brain. Sufficient exposure to sunlight also plays a role in serotonin as well as exercise. But nutrition is something that should not be overlooked, and it's something that definitely will help. So these recipes that we've chosen today, specifically chosen because they include, let me tell you, let me guess, tryptophan that's available to your brain, and also it's high in omega-3 fats. So as we go through these recipes, just know that we've chosen these because they're going to help you boost your brain. Okay, so the first recipe is going to be an omega-3 blast smoothie. So these are the things that you're going to need, and I actually got this recipe out of this book. It's called Depression: The Way Out, and it's by Dr. Neil Nedley. And the information that I've shared with you today is actually from this book. And so, yeah, I'm going to share with you the ingredients. So the first thing you want is to get 2 oranges, and we're going to cut them because we're going to get the juice out of them. Now, the recipe calls for 2/3 of a cup of orange juice. Now, I don't like using the store-bought juices because they have added things in there, and nothing is better than fresh. So if you have one of these contraptions, you can just simply get your oranges and then juice them like this. It's a little bit of extra hard work, but it's not that bad. It doesn't take long at all, especially because you're only using 2/3 of a cup. So I just run my fingers through here to get sort of the juice through these little holes, and then we'll do the rest. Now, these oranges that I have actually are from my brother-in-law's tree. So they're organic, fresh, and we've been really enjoying these oranges every day. It's been fantastic in winter to get your vitamin C through oranges and all your citrus fruits. So sometimes this is roughly more than 2/3 of a cup, and I don't really care. When you're making a smoothie, you don't really have to stick to the measurements. So whatever works. But if you don't have oranges, then of course you can use the store-bought. But yeah, oranges are pretty easy to find, especially in winter. So yeah, I'm just going to pour this into our blender. So you always want to put the liquid in first when you're making a smoothie, because if you put the dry ingredients first, then that's not going to blend. So make sure that you do that. Okay, the next thing we're going to need is 1 banana. You can use a frozen banana, but I'm using one that's just fresh. And you can see how they've got spots on it. This means that the banana is ripe. So when you see the spots, it means that the glucose is not starchy anymore, but it's nice and sweet. So we'll just peel this banana, and we'll put it in our smoothie. Okay, we've also got 1 cup of frozen blueberries. Now, blueberries are an amazing berry, amazing fruit. They are so high in antioxidants, probably one of the highest in antioxidants actually. Very anti-inflammatory as well. So really good for people who are suffering with inflammation in their body, which a lot of us are. So we just want to put that in there. Now, this is where we're getting into our omega-3s. So I have some hemp seeds. Now, if you've never seen hemp seeds before, this is the packet that I'm using, and I get this from my health food store. Sometimes they don't sell them in Woolworths or Coles, but you can normally get them in a health food store. So we've got 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds, really great protein, really good omega-3 as well. So we'll put that in there. I've also got 1 tablespoon of walnuts. And again, very high in omega-3. It's actually the second highest source of omega-3 in plant sources. So we'll put our walnuts in there. Now, this is called carob. You might never have heard of carob before, but it looks like cacao powder, but it's actually free from any sort of stimulant. And it's not bitter like cacao either. It's quite sweet. And this is going to give it kind of like a chocolatey flavor. And it has many other things like calcium in it, magnesium. It's really delicious. So we're going to put 1 tablespoon of carob powder. Now, we have here also flaxseed. Now, you've heard me talk about the flaxseed, and it's best to buy the flaxseed and ground it fresh, because when you don't do that, if you buy flaxseed already grounded in the store, it's usually already rancid and you don't want that. So buying it whole is definitely the best option. Now, I have these sitting in my pantry, and when I want to use it, I will get my little Ninja blender if you have one, or you can use a coffee grinder. So I put my flax seeds in there and I've just ground them up. It doesn't take long, it takes about 10 seconds. So this is half a tablespoon of flaxseed that's been ground. So I'm going to put that in there. Again, high in omega-3 and also high in tryptophan. Now, the last thing we're going to put in is 2.5 cups of baby spinach. And this is roughly 2.5 cups. I don't actually know, but I'm just going to pour it all in there. And yes, sometimes I don't measure things. If you don't have spinach, I've actually made this with kale or cos lettuce, so yeah, if you don't have spinach, you just use with what you've got. And so this is going to obviously add lovely greens to our recipe, where if you don't eat a lot of salads, it's an easy way to get in because you can't actually taste it once it's mixed in with everything else. So it's a good way to get your greens in. Okay, everything's in there. All you have to do now is blend. So let's do it. Now, spinach is taking a while to get down there, so I'm just going to push it. Okay, it's all done. So now, what we want to do is we want to have a little bit of a taste test. So I'm going to get a glass and I'm going to pour some in there. Hold on 1 second. We can't have a recipe without tasting it. So once you get that, you can just pour that in there. You can see it's quite thick, and this is because the flaxseed, all the nuts in there, they become gelatinous. So this is what it looks like. You actually can eat it like with a spoon and have it for breakfast, have it for like an after workout protein shake. Let me test it for us. So delicious. You better be careful when you drink smoothie because you can get all over your lips. But it's really, really good. I hope you enjoy this. Try it. Go to the store, buy these ingredients, and tell us if you like it. So Now we're going to hand it over to Liz, who's going to be showing us a scrambled tofu.
Oh, well, good evening. My name is Liz and I'm here to demonstrate one of our recipes this evening, and it's called scrambled tofu. I've been a cooking demonstrator for over 36 years, and this has been one of our favourite family go-to quick meals, and it's very versatile. So let's get started. We just have a fry pan here, and I've just been heating up a little bit of water, so we don't even have to use any oils or fats in this, so that makes it a lovely fat-free recipe. So that water is now simmering, and I'm first going to add 1 onion. Okay, so that's a fairly large onion. It's always nice to have, if you've got a large onion, this adds lots of flavour. So we'll just let that simmer there for a minute or two. Make sure that your onion is really transparent and clear and nice and soft, because you don't want to have any crunchy bits while you're eating scrambled tofu. Scrambled tofu, it's been around for years. Tofu is an amazing substitute for so many things. You can use it for savouries, you can use it for sweets, and yeah, it's just an amazing versatile component that you can have in your fridge. I'll just show you while that's just sautéing there. This is what the tofu looks like before. It's actually the soya bean, and that's what it looks like. So it's just a little bean, and then it actually, after a process, it turns out looking like this. This is tofu. Now this is a firm tofu, and that's the type we're using in this recipe. Don't go for your silken tofu, your soft one. They're used more for desserts, for your custards and your cheesecakes, etc. So that's starting to saute nicely there. After we do that, we're going to add 1 clove of garlic. If you're in my family, we'd probably add about 5 or 6. We love our garlic, but if you're not used to garlic, I would just stick to the 1 clove. We just let that saute there a little bit longer. As Leah's already mentioned, we're in a lockdown currently, and we had to change our plans, so this isn't live, but I'm just saying to all of you that are tuning in tonight, I hope you're doing okay in this current situation. And look, it gives us an opportunity to try new skills. Like if you're feeling bored, why not try these recipes? They're only going to benefit you and help you. You can share it with friends, family. As I said, we've been having this particular recipe in our family for over 30 years. We're now going to add a stock cube. These are plant-based. This is a plant-based stock cube, and they're easily purchased in Coles or Woolworths. And these are the muscle ones. I'm using the vegetable stock cube, but you can get chicken, and you can also get the beef one. So we just stir that in there. Adds a lovely flavour to it. This is a very quick, very easy recipe. Now you can use your scrambled tofu. You can have it for breakfast. I love the tofu. If you exchange it for maybe scrambled eggs, it's high in protein, low in fat. So bodybuilders, people that want to build up their muscles, this is an excellent recipe. We're now going to add a little bit of colour to it. This is turmeric. There's a teaspoon of turmeric here. We'll just stir that through. Now this is what the tofu looks like. I've crumbled that, I've just broken it up with my fingers, and it resembles very much like scrambled egg. We'll just add that to our onion, our garlic and our turmeric and our stock cube. And all those lovely flavours and colours are all being blended together there. Of course, this program tonight is about brain health, And tofu is really high in tryptophan. Actually, it's the highest that we know in tryptophan, which is an amino acid, which is really a fantastic help for the brain, especially for those that are depressed, anxiety. And let's face it, we've all gone through moments in our life where we can feel that way. But it's so important that we can understand that food can actually be like a medicine for us. So look at that coming up nicely there. That's absolutely delicious. And as you can see, it resembles scrambled eggs very much. Now, you don't have to, but for those that know about this, this is a lovely flavour, can add lovely flavour to different dishes. This is called nutritional yeast flakes, and you can purchase it in the health food shop. I'm just going to add a tablespoon of it to the recipe. You don't have to, it's an option, but what I really like about it, it just gives that cheesy flavour. It's not overbearing, but you don't need a lot of it. So we're just about finished our recipe now. Last but not least, we're going to add some lovely colour with chopped up parsley to garnish it. Looks very Aussie now, all that green and gold. So there you have your scrambled tofu. Now, we don't just have to just turn that stove off there. We can serve this in many ways. We can have it on toast. I love it on a Sunday morning. And be creative. You can add sun-dried tomatoes, mushrooms, capsicum. There's just so many things that you can add to it, and be creative. Now, I would normally serve this on toast, and I might put some mushrooms and spinach with it. There's other ways. If you've got some left over, you can even put it in a sandwich. I love putting this in sandwiches. Or you can also, if you've got potatoes left over from a baked dinner, why not add it on top of the potato? It's got endless ways that you can use it. So why not give scrambled tofu a go? And remember that the soya bean is very versatile. Thank you for watching.
Hi everyone, I'm Amy, and I'm just going to be sharing a cookie recipe with you today. So it's not like your typical cookie recipes that are in that you get in the shops that have eggs and milk and butter and all that. It's a nice healthy one. So today we have the ingredients of walnuts, spelt flour, salt, flax meal, carob powder, water, vanilla and maple syrup. You also need a bowl and a mixing spoon, and also start by putting the oven on to 180 degrees Celsius. Okay, so first of all, we're going to add 2.5 cups of walnuts. Now I have already pre-blended this up because you don't need to see me blending it right now. Walnuts are really good, beautiful food for the brain, and it's really high in tryptophan and also omega-3. I also think that the little walnuts actually remind me of a little brain. That's how I sort of remember that it's good for our brains. Also, just to remember, you don't need any fancy blender or anything to blend some of these ingredients up. It's pretty straightforward. Food processor, if you have one, pretty much any blender will work. Anyway, next we have 1 cup of spelt flour. Now, some of you may not have heard of spelt flour before, but it is an ancient grain, and it's a good alternative to the normal whole wheat flour that we get. It's without going into too much detail into it, it's less tampered with, I guess you could say. So that's what I've used. But if you are gluten-free, I have used a gluten-free grain before, and it works just as well. So that's a good alternative for people that are gluten-free. Next we're going to add, what have we got here? Some salt. And that would be half a teaspoon of salt. Now we have some flax meal. Now that would be 1/3 a cup of flax meal. Now for people who don't know what flaxseed is, or flax meal is, this is flaxseed. This is how I store it at my home. That's what it looks like before it's blended. But then once it is blended, it's sort of like a powder meal type of thing. That's what we've added into the cookie recipe today. But it is best to blend it fresh, but sometimes I will blend half a cup up and then I will just store it in a little silicone pouch in my fridge so that it doesn't go rancid, because fresh is obviously always best. Okay, so next we have 1/3 of a cup of carob powder. Now this little goodie is got so many good nutrients in it. So I'm just going to list a whole heap of things off. It's a good substitute for your cocoa powder or your cacao powder. So it has vitamin A, vitamin B. It's high in copper, calcium, manganese, potassium, magnesium, zinc, selenium. It's high in fibre, protein and antioxidants. Why would you not want this in your food? So I'm just going to give some of those dry ingredients a little bit of a mix. And then I'm going to start adding in the wet ingredients. So first of all, I'm just going to add 2 tablespoons of water. And then we have half a cup of maple syrup, pure maple syrup, because you can get just plain sugary ones from the shops, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the good quality pure stuff, good alternative to processed white sugar. And then lastly, we're going to just add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So now that that is all in the bowl, mix it up. Nothing fancy to that. And then we will put them in little balls, put them on a baking tray, and then pop it in the oven for just about 10 to 15 minutes. Now, some good ways to use this recipe is, one, you could use it as a dessert, but you could also use it as a healthy snack if you're going for a walk or hike. You can pop it in kids' lunchbox. Yeah, it's endless. You can have it with a hot drink instead of having the other cookies that you might normally have, or biscuits that you normally have. So yeah, I think that if you're willing to give it a go, this recipe is really not only tasty, but it's really straightforward and simple. It's got some really good healthy ingredients that are good for your brain, and yeah, I just encourage you to give it a go. So here's the finished product, a cookie high in tryptophan and omega-3.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight for this plant-based cooking class on how to boost your brain. Really hope you enjoyed it, hope that you learned something and that you will try these recipes out this week, share it with family or friends, and let us know if you like them or if there's something that you added that was different. Now, if you want these recipes emailed to you, please send us your email address via our Facebook page, Blue Haven Seventh-day Adventist Church Facebook page. and then we will send these to you. Alternatively, you can just pop your email in the comment section of this video, this live video stream, and then we'll also get these recipes to you as well. We are actually doing a live cooking class every month. So the first Sunday of every month, we're going to be holding one of these cooking classes. So please join us next month in September for our next cooking class, where we'll be sharing more recipes on how to boost your brain. Now, also, we have a website that has some books on there, like healthy recipe books, plant-based recipes, and I'll give you a discount code. If you want to get 10% off some of these books, you can put in this code. Let me just tell you what it is. So the website is hopebooks.com.au, and I'll post the link in this comment section. So that's hopebooks.com.au, and the discount code is, get this, get a pen, write it down, 7440-10, TEN. So that's 7440 with a hyphen, TEN. And that will give you around 10% discount. If you go to the website, you can have a look at some of these great plant-based books, recipes that you can, start getting more familiar with how to make things plant-based. So thank you so much for joining. We hope to see you next time on August, in the first Sunday of the month. Thank you. Bye.